This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Tuesday. No, I'm not really feeling any better. The cats did not want to let me sleep last night. They woke me up every hour on the hour, being assholes, because this is what the cats do. But it's okay. Especially Socks. Like I would get cuddled up with Socks. And then he'd just pop up and go over to the door and start pounding on the door like Socks. Not really. I love that cat. For the most part, that cat's pretty sweet. Did not want to let me sleep. Got a major announcement to make. I wasn't going to use this this meme. Mox, good evening. No, the cats kept me up all night, so I don't feel like I'm going to vomit everywhere tonight. But I'm still fucking tired. Got a major announcement I'm going to make, though. I'm very excited about this. I'm going to tell you who the guest host is going to be for this Friday's Friday Night Freak Show. It's a big one. Got the most notable guest that we have ever had on the Friday Night Freak Show for this Friday's Christmas edition. Cats do be doing that. I don't even have a cat. They're all somewhere else causing trouble. Oh, shit. So yeah, we're going to do Troll Patrol special on Saturday night. Sunday night, no Troll Patrol. Christmas Day, we're going to do a fucking around stream. Watch Christmas specials all through the years. If we have power, apparently there's a storm, a brewing, gonna hit most of the United States. We're gonna talk about that here in a little bit. Friday night, the Christmas Eve Friday Night Freak Show. A very, very special guest host that I'm gonna announce here in just a little bit. I'm not announcing it yet because I'm not high enough for this shit. I do have a meme for you though, speaking of my cats.
Come on, man.
Oh yeah, I had those shits loaded up because I ended the stream abruptly last night. Someone claiming to know Socrates up in their face. I'm gonna redo this meme, and it's gonna be someone with salmon, and then I'm gonna put Socks's face, because that's what Socks be doing. Be all up in your face if you got some salmon. That's what my Socrates be doing. I believe this is referring to, you know, the gadfly from back in Athens. High enough for this shit. And I'm gonna wait for everybody to get in here before I make the big announcement. Special guest co-host is for Friday night's Freak Show. I'm telling you, it's a big one. You guys got any guesses? But before we get to that, let's run down what we're going to be talking about on tonight's stream. I'm going to cover a couple of things that I had for last night, such as Flynn's testimony. We didn't get around to that, but I really want to know exactly what Michael Flynn said. This is testimony to the January 6th committee, where he pled the fifth many times. We're going to hear from the Fox News legal analyst, Jonathan Turley. Says that the real victims on January 6th were the GOP. We have a suspect in the stalking of Elon Musk and his kid. Apparently, it's a member of his own security team. Wild. Ben Shapiro calls Musk stepping down from Twitter terrifying. I'm sorry, slightly terrifying. There's a qualifier on there. It's slightly terrifying. We're going to go over the story of, apparently there is a manhunt underway in the country. I believe it started in Ohio. 2 children missing. One has been recovered and one is still missing. The authorities' rundown on what's going on there. We're going to talk about the government funding bill. It has until Friday to pass a bill to avoid a shutdown. I believe they're on the floor talking about it right now. Isn't it? If I'm not mistaken. We're going to hear from McConnell. Funding bill. Also gave his thoughts on the race to replace Kevin McCarthy. Race for House Speaker featuring wannabe Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Matt Gaetz says he thinks he can stop McCarthy from becoming Speaker. Got a bit of a catfight feud going on between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. Boebert mocked a gas price expert, not knowing how anything works. Judge in the Kari Lake lawsuit in Arizona throws out most of the lawsuit, but allows like 2 counts to go forward. Kari Lake asking for your prayers. Lawyers have withdrawn their subpoena for Katie Hobbs. North Carolina County is set to hold another election. A local poll worker wrongly claimed a candidate had died. I haven't got a chance to read this story yet. This is one of those that I had for last night. Apparently, a Republican congressman lied about fucking everything. Higher persona is a fraud. I'm looking forward to that. When Fox News claims a pro-life activist was arrested for silently praying near an abortion facility, I would assume they were trespassing. You don't just get arrested for silently praying in a public area. You probably trespassing. Christian pastor says they can't get a lease. New building to hold their hate rallies. We got some relationship news. Apparently, the internet upset with one Mr. Barack Obama because he admitted that he once considered divorcing Michelle. I don't know if this is a business or a personal relationship, but disgraced former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, spotted having dinner with disgraced former White House advisor Kellyanne Conway. He's always been disgraced. That's not like just a new idol or a superlative. He's always been disgraced. Or she ever even was a part of the Trump White House. I'm going to tell you about holiday travel and the life-threatening cold hit most of the U.S. Plus, I'm going to show you a cat that tries to block a field goal. Cat out on the field. Not really, but that's going to be fun. All that and more tonight on the Troll Patrol. Simp, good evening. Mox, good evening. Are you guys ready to hear who the special guest co-host is going to be for Friday night's Christmas Eve edition Friday Night Freak Show? Put it up on the YouTube. Who is it? Who is it? Craleo, not Nick Fuentes. Not Nick Fuentes. The special guest co-host for this Friday's Friday Night Freak Show, Krampus. Krampus will be joining us. the Christmas Eve edition of the Friday Night Freak Show. Teasing it for a couple of days now. I landed a big time guest this Friday, Krampus, co-hosting the Friday Night Freak Show. Carpe, good evening. I'm so stoked for this. It's worked out better than I thought it. So it is Nick Fuentes. No, Krampus is way cooler than Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes wishes he could pull the pussy that Krampus can pull. I am very, very stoked. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. Working out better than I could ever imagine, too. Special guest co-host. I asked Media Winch. She was my first pick. I believe she's going to be at a concert. So I had to go with the next best thing. I found a Krampus. Oh, shit. Squid, good evening. A Yule goat burning? Sounds like something that'll get you a visit from Krampus. Told by somebody in chat last night that Steven Crowder is the goat. Goat of what? I'm not exactly sure. But somebody in the chat had that opinion. I think they're probably fucking stupid. That's just me. That's just me. What do I know, right? Also, phone lines are indeed... Yes, I will not tell Krampus that, Man B. Media Winch felt honored, though, that I thought of her ahead of Krampus. Somebody tried to call into the show at 7:23 a.m. So that's wild. I tried to call the show at 7:23 this morning. If you would like to call in, the phone lines are indeed open. 917-830-4359. Also got the Discord going. Calls and comments unscreened and unedited. Fucking Krampus. Excited. So he did call in. He left a voice message. It's just like him rambling.
I'm going to try and give you an idea of exactly the path I've taken in life and how I ended up coming to Christ and how Christ saved my life, saved me from total destruction. And I think I want to go back and start off.
I would have been glad to have this conversation with him.
To my young years when I was in like elementary school real quick.
I'm not just going to sit here and listen to you droll on, you stupid fuck.
And get into the nitty-gritty. Won't take long.
It took long enough for the phone system to cut you off, sir. You left a 3-minute voicemail. When they put me in the mental hospital, I actually told this story on the not the Freak Show. We did a just chatting stream the other night. The story, like my college probably thought I needed to be tested for bipolar, and I didn't have insurance. And I had to go to the mental hospital for a little bit, inpatient facility. And there was one of the groups I had to go to, some dude talking about how, he was some religious fuck that, was a wild biker doing meth back in the day, but he had to turn his life around because of Jesus or he would have died, that kind of story. I went up to him afterwards and was like, fucking dude, if you got off drugs, you did that. Jesus didn't do that. You fucking did that. You were selling yourself short. And like, I gave him this whole speech and he was not prepared for that. Ida, good evening. So glad to see you tonight. I'm still not feeling well, but hopefully I'm not gonna like just leave you guys abruptly like I did last night. I was worried that I might blow chunks. I did not, though. I passed the fuck out not long after that. Crashed. Then, you know, had the cats wake me up on the hour every hour. Cats are like that. Still fucking tired. I told my buddy I would play Mortal Kombat with him tonight. Because it's been a long time since I played Mortal Kombat with him. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to again. He probably doesn't want me to play Mortal Kombat with him because last time we did, I whooped his ass. I don't even think he won a round. I was that fucking good. Well, I'm not on top of my game. I don't want to go play games. All right, so we're gonna start off tonight. Tadpole, good evening. I'm a killer with Sub-Zero now. Like, I got two different Sub-Zeros. One is a finesse Sub-Zero and one is a brute dog Sub-Zero. I have carefully with their moveset. Anyway, what that news be doing? We're gonna go to Columbus, where the police chief is making a plea for a suspected kidnapper to return a 5-month-old. Apparently, two children's were kidnapped. One has been found and returned. Another one still missing, and they are on the lookout for a suspect. Get the deets.
Kevin Landers was there when police addressed the media, and he also spoke with the child's grandmother and father. Now, he's live at Columbus headquarters now with their plea for help. Kevin?
Stop being a Kevin.
The family says it has no idea why the suspect would steal a car with two children inside. The family is just praying that 5-month-old Kason is found safe. Police believe he is in danger. Somewhere, a 5-month-old is without his mother. His twin brother now safe with his father.
He was found outside. She left my baby for dead.
God.
Outside in the cold.
Yes, sir.
5-month-old Kason Thomas
Why are
is
you
nowhere
dumping
to
one
be
kid
found.
and not the other,
Police say
though?
He and his brother were abducted inside a running car while their mother ran in to get a DoorDash order from this Donato's in the short north. Police say Nala Jackson, a homeless woman from Columbus, is the suspect. We spoke to the father as he was driving around Columbus looking for his other son. Do you know anything about her?
No, I have no clue who she is.
He says his other son was found by police outside the Dayton airport. Did they say how long he'd been outside?
They said it was about 10 minutes, no longer than 10 minutes.
The family says it's furious with police for waiting hours before sending out a statewide Amber Alert. Police and OHP say they needed to make sure it met the criteria, and there was confusion over the make and model of the car that was stolen.
Columbus police refused to put out an Amber Alert as many times as we asked. We didn't get one until almost 3 to 4 hours after they were missing. This lady has so much time on her right now. I don't know where my baby is.
And she went to the
There was a
airport?
delay.
Obviously, I think that in a perfect world, we would love to have had it out a little bit earlier, but that our officers did the best they could dealing with the chaotic scene.
Even the chief of police said she had no idea of the abduction until the next day, blaming it on a lack of communication.
There was a lapse in communication.
Wait, this didn't happen today? Yes, this just keeps getting worse. My God. Because I saw the story earlier today and assumed there was a manhunt underway today, but apparently this happened yesterday.
Admit there was a delay.
Obviously, I think that in a perfect world, we would love to have had it out a little bit earlier, but that our officers did the best they could dealing with the chaotic scene.
Even the chief of police said she had no idea of the abduction until the next day, blaming it on a lack of communication.
There was a lapse in communication. Had I known, we would have had the press conference last night or early this morning. And that's just the reality. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But that doesn't mean that the team wasn't doing the work.
And like, it is of the utmost importance to there's been a kidnapping, to get it out as quickly as possible. God damn.
Now, police say the last known sighting of Jackson was in Huber Heights near Dayton. They believe they're not sure if she is still there or if she's driving the same car where she abducted this child from. Now, police are pleading with Jackson to drop off this child anywhere safe with no questions asked. Reporting live outside police
Keep the car.
Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Kevin, thank you. Let's head to
drop off the kid.
Hear the moment one of the infant boys was found. 10 TV's Lindsay Mills continues our team coverage tonight.
Police from Columbus and Dayton were...
I just don't... Okay, you drop one of the kids off. Why not the other one as well? What, you're like, oh, well, I'm keeping this one. This one's cute. What?
Here at Dayton International Airport today, looking for evidence in the economy lot where little Kyer was left alone in the bitter cold. He was found 7 hours after the car he was buckled in was stolen from the Donatos in the Short North. A traveler parking here to head out made the shocking discovery and called 911 immediately.
Calling from the economy lot at Dayton International Airport, and we just discovered a baby in a baby carriage in the parking lot.
Kyer's twin, Kason, is believed to be in danger, and authorities are urging anyone with information to call police. Columbus police say there may have been one sighting in the Dayton area before the child was left here. Columbus police are reviewing video surveillance from the airport. At Dayton International Airport, Lindsay Mills.
And maybe one was screaming, and she's like, well, let's get rid of this one.
In this case, Nolly Jackson. Chief Bryant indicated that Jackson has a criminal history, which we followed up and looked up. Jackson has a current case in municipal court for aggravated menacing and telecommunications harassment. We don't know if it's linked to today's events. She also has a child endangering charge from 2021. We found other cases involving Jackson dating back to 1998.
So what is required for an Amber Alert to be sent out?
I should laugh at that.
State Highway Patrol is the agency in charge of putting out Amber Alerts. The Department of Public Safety shared the criteria with us today. It includes the missing child is under the age of 18. Law enforcement believes the abduction puts the child in immediate danger, and there's enough information to believe the alert will help find the child.
I believe all of those criteria were met. Oh yeah, absolutely. Arm the kid. If the babies had been armed, this wouldn't have happened. They couldn't have got carjacked if they were packing. Come the fuck on. Arm the babies. A good baby with a gun. The only way to stop a bad guy, a carjacking, is a good baby with a gun. Well, speaking of children and stalkers and shit like that, let's talk about Elon Musk. What a week this fuck has had. Police in Southern California said Tuesday that they were seeking additional information about an incident last week that Twitter CEO Elon Musk said prompted him to crack down on accounts that track whereabouts of private jets, including his. December 13th incident in Los Angeles area highway has become a flashpoint for a debate about online speech and the dissemination of personal information, although authorities had previously said little about what happened. A Tuesday statement, police in South Pasadena said the incident involved a member of Musk's security team, whose vehicle hit the car of a man he alleged was following him. Police called the security team member a suspect. They did not say what crimes they suspected him of committing, but said they were investigating a report of an assault with a deadly weapon involving a vehicle. So Elon was lying. Musk's description of the incident was different last week in justifying his decision to ban the Twitter account of @ElonJet, which publishes the location of his private airplane. Musk said that a stalker had used location information from the account to follow and confront a car carrying one of his children. As somebody else pointed out, a car carrying one of his children, I didn't even think about this. Did that motherfucker put baby XIVI blah 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 in a Tesla by itself and then program the Tesla to take the baby to Grimes? Is that what happened? Also, as someone else pointed out on Twitter, the guy that named his baby XYZ Beta Alpha, whatever the fuck, making fun of people with pronouns. It looks like that what actually happened is one of Elon's security detail hit the dude. The dude, maybe he was following because apparently he was a Grimes fan. That's come out. Might have been stalking Grimes and not Elon. It looks like a member of Elon's security team actually hit the dude. So remember, the notion that the stalker jumped on his car could have been, no, one of Elon's security actually ran him the fuck over. Business Insider reporter Lynette Lopez, who has covered Musk and Tesla for years, and Elon Jet creator Jack Sweeney are among those still banned from Twitter. Twitter did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the police statement. In their statement, police said a 29-year-old man from Connecticut had pulled off a highway shortly before 10 p.m. to use his cell phone in a gas station. While parked, the man said another vehicle pulled directly in front of him, blocking his path. The driver of the second vehicle, described by police as Musk's security team member, then accused the Connecticut man of following him. Each party captured video during the dispute. I mean, we saw Elon's video where he basically docks the dude. And that makes it even worse. Man, if the dude was innocent in all this, Elon posted his fucking license plate on Twitter while banning accounts for doxing people. Holy shit. He said as Musk's security team member was leaving the parking lot, he struck the Connecticut man with his vehicle and then fled. When officers arrived on the scene, the suspect had already left the area. Detectives do not believe Musk was present during the confrontation, according to the statement. Washington Post reported a person who identified himself as the driver featured in the video of the confrontation that Musk shared online said he has an interest in Musk and the mother of two of children. The mother of two of children, Bouchard, who is better known as the musician Grimes. ABC News has not verified those statements or who was in the video. Apparently, Grimes lives within the area where the confrontation took place. Well, I mean, Musk is a habitual liar. And if you were going to stalk somebody, at least Grimes has some talent. Oh, shit. I'm a Grimes fan. She weird, though. Ben Shapiro calls Elon Musk's poll on stepping down from Twitter slightly terrifying. Conservative commentator Ben Shapiro says he finds Elon Musk's latest Twitter poll, in which the CEO asked users to weigh in on whether he should step down from his post as CEO, slightly terrifying. I believe Musk is now claiming that the poll was influenced by bots. Of course he is.
Well, Elon Musk bought Twitter not all that long ago, and he's been a very hands-on owner. He's been formulating Twitter policy in real time, banning accounts, bringing back accounts, doing everything by Twitter poll.
Yes, we watched that, Squid.
Elon Musk put out a poll asking whether he should step down as the active head of Twitter. This doesn't mean he'll give up ownership of Twitter, of course, but he put out a poll saying that he would pledge to abide by the results of the poll.
The rumor going around
Elon
is
Musk
that the Saudis are who is like a majority owner in Twitter. Maybe they own a plurality of the stock. Maybe not the majority. They are a large shareholder in Twitter. God damn it, I hate MSN. I tried to find this clip from somewhere else and I could not.
And nearly 60% of people.
But the rumor is that the Saudis are telling Musk he needs to step down.
People on Twitter were polled, said that Musk should not remain the CEO of Twitter. Now, here's the thing. I think Musk is smart enough to know what the result was going to be ahead of time.
Musk isn't smart.
He thought that 60% of people are going to say yeah. So what this really looks more like is a transition plan. He wants to make it look like the people wanted him to step out of the way, and then he'll appoint somebody else to run Twitter. But this does speak to the way that Twitter is
magnanimous of him,
which is very ad hoc. Again, I don't have a problem with that because I would rather that there be someone at the top of the food chain to blame as opposed to the way Twitter was being run. But this does
you couldn't blame Jack Dorsey before?
System into at least some chaos because nobody actually knows what's coming next. I have no information suggesting that Elon Musk actually knows who would replace him as CEO of Twitter. It's not like he has somebody waiting in the wings, and this is all a setup. This is all seat of the pants
Snoop
kind of
Dogg.
stuff, which makes
Snoop
it,
Dogg.
on one hand, fun, and on the other hand, slightly terrifying for those who actually are trying to figure out what standards Twitter is attempting to apply here. Bottom line is this. Whoever is going to come in for Musk, because now he's pledged that he's going to step aside and he's going to put in some sort of new CEO, here is the standard that ought to be applied. The standard that ought to be applied is a pure First Amendment free speech standard. That's what ought to happen.
Saudis.
And then all other standards ought to be made.
The Saudis own a hell of a lot of things. No, Twitter's a public company.
Transparent. If you're going to downgrade tweets that are First Amendment protected, but you don't want getting wide dissemination, you should have a transparent process whereby people can quickly see why the thing is being downgraded. I will say that Musk has been radically transparent, even though he is doing things, seat of the pants. He's being very transparent about why he is doing things and how he is doing things. And the answer is he's doing because he feels like it. Whoever comes in next should continue that policy of radical transparency, but should take a very strict First Amendment standard with regard to Twitter in the United States. Well, one of the big problems for international companies like Twitter is that
Saudi
the free
Prince
speech standards in the United States are not the free speech standards.
Al-Walid is Twitter's second largest shareholder.
People can quickly see why the thing is being downgraded. I will say that Musk has been radically transparent, even though he is doing things, seat of the pants. He's being very transparent about why he is doing things and how he is doing things. And the answer is he's doing because he feels like it. Whoever comes in next.
Apparently, they took more of possession of more of the stock following Elon's acquisition.
Transparent about why he is doing things and how he is doing things. And the answer is he's doing because he feels like it. Whoever comes in next should continue that policy of radical transparency, but should take a very strict First Amendment standard with regard to Twitter in the United States. Well, one of the big problems for international companies like Twitter is that the free speech standards in the United States are not the free speech standards that apply in, say, France or Britain, where actual quote-unquote hate speech can be prosecuted. They don't have the same First Amendment standards over in Europe. So the best that Twitter probably can do, realistically speaking, is promulgate standards that are allowed by various governments in various parts of the West.
Apparently, it was EU law that got Elon to reinstate the Mastodon account because EU doesn't take monopolies lightly. Monopolistic behavior to block one of your competition on social media. So good on the EU. But from Twitter drama to, like, you know, government drama, we are coming up on a possible government shutdown come Friday, which would be catastrophic heading into the holidays. Let's get an update on where they're at.
Pretty much everyone, except for a few Gen Zers who are ahead of the curve.
Oh, I was wondering, why are they talking about Privacy Watch? Oh, why were they talking about Privacy Watch? Oh, that is because funding to block TikTok was apparently inside of the omnibus bill. Soup from a breadline. Good evening.
A smartphone in their pocket by now, but that means there are more opportunities for companies to monitor, collect, and sell your information.
Yeah, CBS News' Scott McFarlane has a look at how TikTok is capturing not only your data, but also your friends' data as well.
But critics say TikTok might know too much. So we're scrolling through here,
tracking its users' likes, dislikes, and more.
Your email address, there's your phone number, the Wi-Fi network you're connected with.
We asked Gizmodo reporter Thomas Germain to show us how TikTok sweeps up data.
And right there, it's uploading, and we saw those servers light up there as the data was going out for my phone.
There they all are. Right. They now have access to all of your contacts.
They're looking through all of my contacts.
But that's, once again, just to put this into context, all apps do that. And I always take the opportunity to point out that the government does not need to get a warrant for information that companies hand over willingly to them and that you hand over willingly to companies.
Who knows what they're doing with it? They're definitely keeping track of everything that's in there, whether those people are on TikTok or not. And the interesting thing there is my friends didn't consent to having their phone numbers and emails uploaded in TikTok.
Meantime, Epic Games, the maker of the popular video game Fortnite, has agreed to pay $275 million in civil penalties to settle claims accusing the company of collecting children's information without their parents' consent. Wow. With us now is Alexandra Seymour. She is an associate fellow for the Technology and National Security Program at the Center for a New American Security. Alexandra, you know, we were talking about how much these social media companies have been able to glean about
funding bill is what I was
TikTok's
thinking we were covering.
Your data, your friends' data.
Good evening.
With all of this, you wouldn't fault people for just feeling like it's time to throw our hands up in the air and say our information can't be kept totally secure. What do you say?
Yeah, certainly there are ways. First of all, thank you so much for having me. So I think that one thing we have to recognize is that there really is no privacy anymore, just in the sense that there is so much data that is being collected on us at every moment. But what we do need to know is the things that we can do to make sure that we are protecting ourselves. So whether it's location data, whether it's phone numbers, it's emails, a lot of this is within the apps themselves, where they will ask for your consent to say, can we collect this information? And it's up to users to make sure that they understand how to turn some of these settings off. Now, at the same time, what we also need to recognize is that this is really incumbent on some of the companies to make sure that they're being transparent in the way that they collect data, how
Everyone hop on aboard the omnibus.
And to make sure that they
omnibus may not be coming, though. They'll get to that eventually in this piece, I guess.
About the way that their data is being collected, because it is a scary thing to recognize that these companies are able to pull together all of this information and essentially build a profile on you. And even if the data is anonymous, taken together can build out your preferences, your associations, and other likes of the matter.
I can't tell you how many things I own that I did not need before Instagram offered me, and suddenly
there's also that hazard, right?
Suddenly it belongs to me. You know, one thing is those switches that you can toggle on and off.
Good evening.
That you were mentioning to protect your privacy, but what legal protections actually exist to prevent companies from misusing customer data?
Yeah, so actually, this is very different on a state basis.
No protections.
We don't right now have a comprehensive data privacy law at the federal level. So that means that really a lot of states have taken this on themselves to start putting those protections into place. California is probably the most notable example in terms of somewhere where there's more robust protections. But otherwise, this really is both up to the state to implement some of those legal protections. And then it also is on the companies as well to make sure that they are implementing practices that are protecting users and making sure that they're being transparent with users in terms of how their data is being collected and exactly where it's
going. Again, this is an issue that I feel that we need to tackle, but our government is woefully unprepared to tackle it because a lot of them are old and don't even know how the internet works.
Though it is probably in the most bipartisan shape that it has been in terms of when it has come up beforehand, but it is something that we will likely see continue to be discussed for the next couple of Congresses.
Well, you know, it's interesting as you're talking about Congress, because in 2019, the New York Times did a study. They found that they could track the president, at that point it was President Trump, by monitoring data from a Secret Service agent's phone. How could a foreign adversary like Russia or China use that information? And what hope do we have, again, of protecting our own security when even the president of the United States could be tracked?
I think the most important thing to note is that when you're talking about global strategic competition, it is a competition for information advantage. So this is a
it is a global issue, but our government needs to tackle it. We need a Bill of Rights for our data.
To track individuals, as you mentioned, whether that's the individual themselves in terms of putting the different types of data together, or if it is by association as well. It might not be the senior level person whose phone is being tracked in that moment, but if they have someone who closely is with them at most times of the day, there's a way to put 2 and 2 together in that sense. There's also cybersecurity concerns that stem from that as well, in terms of when you have this types of information, being able to create more tailored phishing attacks against individuals because you're able to track their patterns and their habits to make them seem more realistic. There's also concerns about
Leo, he is a flight risk. We should have an ankle monitor on him.
On individuals who might be working in sensitive areas. This was the case with Strava.
Elon might fly him out of the country.
Heat map a couple of years ago, and it had exposed some more military sites inadvertently. And then there's also the concerns about just powering technological development as well.
They never even touched on the omnibus bill. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I chose this piece to talk about the 1.7 trillion funding bill. They didn't even go there. They talked about TikTok and Fortnite the whole time. Ow. I guess I'll just have to read it myself. Politico. Lawmakers unveil government funding bill to stave off Friday shutdown. They do have a piece on here. About it, Politico.
I have good news. With days left before...
You gonna tell us about Jesus? Is Chucky Schumer gonna tell us about the good news? He's joined the Jews for Jesus movement. You heard the good news about Christ. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
I have good news. With days left before Christmas, Democrats and Republicans have reached an omnibus agreement completed at 1:15 a.m. early this morning. After a lot of hard work, this
We're burning the midnight oil.
Aggressive investment in American families, American workers, and America's national defense. It'll give our troops a raise, make health care more affordable for millions, and it fulfills
yet another bill where we're giving the Pentagon more money than what they even asked for.
The promise Democrats made to defend democracy at home and abroad through the ECA. The clock is now ticking until government front runs out this Friday. Between now and the end of the week, the watchwords for the Senate will be speed and cooperation.
Oh, Tones totally has a Twitch account. Tones comes over to Twitch
process today.
And Tones is home.
Members should be ready
Tones is not home when
to
Tones
lay the
on
omnibus
YouTube.
before the Senate as soon as this afternoon.
Oui, monsieur.
We must finish passing this omnibus before the deadline on Friday when government funding runs out.
Would indeed be catastrophic. Some people watch on YouTube because they want to catch the whole show. Thing. But that's why I like being on multiple platforms, so you can decide how you want to consume the Troll Patrol. Also, my apologies to those of you who listen to this show as a podcast. It's a good time to mention this. For a couple weeks there, I was uploading the video. And the video, if I go 4 or 5 hours, video takes forever to process and upload. So it wasn't hitting the podcast feed until 7, 8, 9 in the morning. And some people like listening to the Troll Patrol overnight while maybe they're working. I've started putting up the audio and then putting up the video later because I was trying to take advantage of Spotify. They're pushing their video podcast, so I was trying to, get into the feed. So putting up both has actually worked out really well. We've gained some new followers. Putting both up. Elon totally doesn't want me on Twitter and totally has not given me my original account back. I have and I've been very open about, I am flaunting a ban right now with the Twitter account that I have. I would like Mr. JustinFREAKIN back. I would really like that account back.
Together more. If we don't know and respect each other.
Shut up, Leahy. Leading lawmakers unveiled a $1.7 trillion year-end spending bill early on Tuesday. They raced to pass the sprawling package by week's end. The so-called omnibus would provide the military with $858 billion fiscal year, a nearly 10% increase over current levels because we need to spend more on the military. It would fund domestic programs at more than 707. And by the way, I don't think that 858 billion includes the billions that we're going to be sending to Ukraine. Fund domestic programs at more than 772 billion. So yeah, 858 billion for war. Funding the military machine, 772 billion for domestic programs, including 119 billion, or a 22% increase for veterans' medical care. It is expected to act first on the spending package in the coming days, seeking a time agreement that would allow the bill to pass before Thursday night and sending it to the House. Any senator could hold up that deal in exchange for amendments or concessions. Senate Minority Whip John Thune said Monday that he expected conservatives to push for an amendment related to stripping out earmarks, projects in lawmakers' home states. I don't anticipate that it would be real thorny getting to a final vote, but it might take a little time, Thune said, adding that with the holidays looming, the thing that somebody has to trade is time. The biggest holdup to releasing the text on Monday came instead from a dispute among Democrats, first reported by Politico, related to the location of the FBI's new headquarters. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer and other Marylanders were pushing to get language inserted into the bill that would favor their home state by changing the GSA's criteria for selecting the location, while Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine of Virginia were pushing to keep language out of the spending bill, keeping current guidelines in place that would favor Virginia. Sides ultimately agreed to disagree. Instead, they worked out a deal requiring the head of the GSA to meet with representatives from both states to consider their ideas on the FBI's mission requirements, equity, and potential site's sustainability, according to a Senate Democratic aide. Why not just go ahead and abolish the FBI? The right-wingers seem to be, now's the time. Strike when the iron's hot. I'm all for it. Let's hear what Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell had to say about the bill. McConnell is ignoring threats and breaking with House praising the spending bill. That's how you know it's bad, if McConnell is praising it.
Come on, man.
Republicans achieved essentially all our priorities. What the fuck? Republican Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell praised the omnibus spending bill to fund the government through September of 2023 during a press conference Tuesday, despite House Republicans crying foul.
Well, we're moving toward completing the business for the year, and I think in a highly productive way from the point of view of the vast majority of Senate Republicans.
The fucker that wants to get out of town, head back to Louisville.
This bill, it'll be on the floor, provides a real dollar increase.
Needs to go back to his turtle sanctuary.
Defense baseline and a real dollar cut for the non-defense baseline if you exclude veterans.
So, a boost for defense spending, a cut for everything else. Yep, that sounds about right.
Well, we're moving toward...
that's this country's priorities.
For the non-defense baseline. Well, we're moving toward...
God damn it, I hate this site.
For the defense... productive entrance. That is absolutely critical in breaking the pattern we've had in the past when we've ended up in one of these situations.
This is the time of year when McTurtle molts in his
Every
shell.
time Republicans tried to get an increase in defense, we would in effect have to pay a ransom to the Democrats on the domestic side, wholly aside from the needs
I'm down with that, Ida.
of the country. So let's step back and say, what are the real needs of the country right now? They're in the defense part of our expenditures, making sure the Defense Department can deal with the major threats coming from Russia and China.
Those really are major threats?
Assistance for the Ukrainians to defeat the Russians. That's the number one priority for the United States right now, according to most Republicans. That's sort of how we see the challenges confronting the country at the moment.
So Republicans' number one priority is Ukraine.
I'm pretty proud of the fact that with a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate, we were able to achieve, through this omnibus spending bill, essentially all.
Joni Ernst looks really nervous behind McConnell, and that's Thune over his right shoulder. I don't know why Joni Ernst was just like, her eyes were darting back and forth. Now, this is still going to be a uphill battle with the House Republicans, who are apparently splintering. Matt Gaetz claims to have critical mass needed to sabotage Kevin McCarthy's leadership. I'm into this. I'm into watching this. Obviously, the FBI didn't like what I had to say about them and has cut the stream off. Well, that's not had to end early because I felt like I could vomit at any second. Tonight, the internet doesn't want to cooperate. Damn, it went completely kaput. Well, well, well. Now we got the green light. See, that's what I was saying. The FBI, my agent that watches the stream, must not like what I had to say about him. Oh, abolishing the FBI speech there. They cut us off. Let me flip back to this screen because I hate that everybody pulled their stream back up and they're coming back to like Matt Gaetz looking all fucking creepy. You fucking perv. I don't know what is going on with Matt Gaetz and the investigation into his sex trafficking. I thought for sure the dude was going to get arrested based on the fact that his own friend flipped on him and has been convicted. So I thought for sure we were going to see Matt Gaetz perp walked out of Congress. But the latest report that we got was that the DOJ wasn't going to pursue charges. We should be back now, Tones. The internet went down for a good 3 or 4 minutes there. Gonna let everybody have the chance to get back in. YouTube probably, because it went off, YouTube probably started a new video. And when that happens, I'll usually go back for people. As I said, people like to watch the show afterwards. So I'll go back and upload like the full version and put it in the playlist. Full show live replays or whatever it's called on YouTube. So I try to make sure that, you know, within a few hours you have access to the full show and everything is organized and categorized. Fortunately, when it cuts me off like that and it starts a new stream, YouTube doesn't automatically turn on commercials. When it starts a new stream, I'm not monetized. I'm not making money off of this stream. Fuck you. We want me raw and uncut. Well, unfortunately,
you live in sexual anarchy.
Fortunately, it was not my decision, but I have been circumcised. So. Looking for somebody uncut. I'm not your man. While I think my penis is a lot prettier without the foreskin, I also believe that's a violation. You should not do something like that without the consent of the person that you're doing it to. Womp womp indeed. Raw though, raw. Raw is the law around here. I had a woman one time that was like, I'm on birth control, so we don't have to use condoms. I was like, I don't think that's the reason why most people use condoms. Okay, I'm down with it. Oh shit. I had a memory. Okay, so I had a memory. Softball Saw came in on that one. My apologies. I had a memory on Facebook today. No, I shared out a story to Wells Fargo has reached an agreement to pay like $1 billion to the customers that they defrauded. They were just opening accounts in their customers' names. They were opening new accounts and shit, just charging them. Underhanded fucking bank. But that reminded me that back in like 2011, 2012, I had an idea. At least you came. Yeah, we weren't edging you. At least you came. I had this idea for a movie I called See Me Pee. You're in for a wild ride. It was gonna be my girlfriend at the time. Just, you know, we're gonna follow her around as she pissed on different banks, and then she was gonna tell the story of the 2008 financial collapse. And I got this idea from the fact that we pissed on a Wells Fargo on our first date. A cop came around too. We were pissing on the bank, and a cop came around to see what we were doing. Both of us very, very slick talkers. We were able to talk our way out of it. Oh, we just walked over here to get, you know, money from the ATM. We weren't pissing on the side of the bank. I've had a wild life, guys. Why? Okay, so why does that look like the SpongeBob font behind Matt Gaetz? Hunter Biden's laptop. That's what Matt Gaetz is talking about. Matt Gaetz is one to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop. Are you going to accuse Hunter Biden of sleeping with underage girls, Mr. Gaetz? Matt Gaetz claims to have critical mass needed to sabotage Kevin McCarthy's speakership. Oh, it's an Asian font. Okay. I thought it looked like a lovely island font. Representative Matt Gaetz says he has a large enough critical mass of House Republicans to prevent Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy from becoming the Speaker in the new Congress. In an interview with right-wing podcast host Steve Bannon on Tuesday, Gates said that at least 5 Republicans would vote against McCarthy on January 3rd to prevent him from taking the gavel. By the way, they have 4 seats. They have a 4-seat advantage over Democrats. 5 would be enough to sink it. Yeah, we were having some internet issues there, Ida, but we were glad to have you back.
Sure. To catch everyone up, last week there were 36 votes.
Oh, content warning. You're going to have to look at Matt Gaetz and Steve Bannon
Against Kevin McCarthy in the Republican conference. And again, Kevin has had years to try to convince people of the worth of his candidacy. Since that time, 0 of those 36 have come out to say, you know what, I voted against McCarthy previously, but I am now prepared to vote for him on the floor. 0. Meanwhile, 5 members, which include myself, Andy Biggs, Bob Good, Matt Rosendale, and now most recently Ralph Norman, have all come out and said...
That's what you call the bottom of the barrel right there.
It's firm. It was not just a no vote within the Republican conference. It is a no vote we intend to carry to the floor. The reason that's significant is because Republicans are expected to hold a 4-seat majority. So 5 of us saying publicly we have no intention of voting for McCarthy, we are firm in our opposition to him, well, that ought to trigger a realization among Republicans that we need a consensus candidate. We need someone who is...
Now, Bannon, who is a savvy political operative, probably knows this is a bad move. I'm interested to see what Bannon has to say back to Gates.
More broadly respected throughout the Republican conference, and we need someone who believes in a bottom-up, membership-empowered House of Representatives. A top-down system run by Kevin McCarthy is not preferable because we don't like top-down systems, but also because, you know, when...
Proud Union soldier.
Arises,
You're here.
The human instinct is fight or flight. And we have seen...
Viceroy, good evening, my friend. Thank you for being a freaking follower.
Flight. You know, in the days following January 6th, he believed that Donald Trump should resign. And when I verbally criticized Liz Cheney, Kevin McCarthy said that might have been encouraging violence against people. And actually, in our country, we're smart enough to know that when we engage in discourse and debate...
Sending you greetings to Albania.
...sharp criticism, that doesn't green light violence. Oftentimes, that's what stops a civilized society from devolving into violence. I've seen Kevin McCarthy's behavior in the majority. He was the guy who was always willing to carry the bag for Paul Ryan when, you know, it's interesting to see McCarthy go around talking about all the subpoenas he wants to issue.
But yeah, Matt Gaetz is pretty sleazy.
In the majority last, when he was the majority leader last, he did not utter one word in support of the subpoenas that Jim Jordan and, at the time, Ron DeSantis and Mark Meadows and I were calling for in the House Judiciary Committee. So, you know, Kevin McCarthy will revert to his establishment mean the moment he gets power, and that's why there are enough of us now, a critical mass, standing as a bulwark against his ascension to the speakership.
Okay, but over the last, 10 days?
See, I knew it. Bannon's got a butt. Bannon is a smart man. Evil, but he's a smart man.
These are since the vote. I mean, it looks like you had this joint press conference. You got Comer putting up charts about Hunter Biden. We're going to have Natalie Winters and others in here in the second hour to go through that. You've got Jim Jordan coming off the chain on a number of things. They're down at the border today. They're going to make a special announcement.
Coming off the chain, I'd like to point out that Jim Jordan covered up sexual abuse claims at the University of Ohio. Or at Ohio State University, I'm sorry.
Yorkis, MTG is out there like a precision-guided missile. It looks like it's all fight, no flight.
Yeah, we're going to talk about MTG and her fight against Boebert.
Our audience, that's too late a conversion?
Well, it's certainly easy to be in favor of fighting when you're in the minority, when the bullets aren't real, when the rounds aren't live. And we saw this in the Obamacare discussion.
Here, weird analogy to make here in mass shooting USA. They're obsessed with Hunter Biden schlong.
Come on, man.
Discussion where, Kevin McCarthy and Paul Ryan were willing to put the repeal of Obamacare on Obama's desk 60 times, knowing he would veto it. But then when the rounds were live, when we were in the majority, there was no sense of fight. So I'm concerned.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. No, sir. I lived through 2017. You guys tried to repeal the ACA, and voters fucking had a backlash over it. You tried to take away people's health care. I lived through, we didn't have a sense of fight. No. The voters fought back, and it was clear that it was very unpopular to try to kill the ACA.
That as it relates to Kevin McCarthy, it's all a puppet show for him. It's all performative. It's not real. And that doesn't in any way discount the incredible oversight work that Congresswoman Green has done, that Jamie Comer has done, that we are planning to do in the House Judiciary Committee.
Masalopsy. Good evening, my friend.
Kevin McCarthy. That is happening oftentimes in spite of Kevin McCarthy. And if you think that this is an optimized Republican team now, wait till we get a real fighter with real vision at the head of it, not someone who has to stick his finger into the air to see which way's the wind blowing before determining where to lead the troops into battle.
There you have it. Bannon didn't push back as much as I thought he would. I don't know what the end game is on this. Surely Bannon knows it's a bad idea, but I can't imagine that Gates and his little band of chuckle fucks like Jim Jordan are going to allow the Democrats to pick the Speaker of the House. Are you really going to let Mondale Jones become the Speaker? I doubt it. Christmas came early. Critics amused as open secret feud between Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene escalates. I told you, Greene is indeed a fighter. She's not fighting dildos in Walmart. Fighting with Lauren Boebert to see who can be the biggest MAGA pinup girl. Drama over Kevin McCarthy's bid for House Speaker has pitted one-time friends Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene against one another, much to the amusement of onlookers. Oh, Mock's picking a side on this one. Mox is with MTG. Boebert, who narrowly won re-election to her Colorado House seat, took a shot at Greene, who handily won a second term in her Georgia House seat, and her supposed belief in Jewish space lasers. During Turning Point USA's Winter Student Conference, and Greene hit back in a series of tweets. I've supported and donated to Lauren Boebert, Greene tweeted. President Trump has supported and donated to Lauren Boebert. Kevin McCarthy has supported and donated to Lauren Boebert. She just barely came through by 500 votes. She gladly takes our money, but when she's been asked, Lauren refuses to endorse President Trump. She refuses to support Kevin McCarthy, and she childishly threw me under the bus for a cheap soundbite. Media users were not sure who to root for in the GOP. As producer Dave always says, no one to root for in this one. Marjorie Taylor Greene is attacking Lauren Boebert. It sounds like the far right knows it's sinking. It's a sinking ship without a paddle. This is according to Representative Richie Torres. In a fight between Bobblehead and MTG, I'd root for a sinkhole. Holy shit, Marjorie Taylor Greene is now attacking Lauren Boebert for saying I don't believe in Jewish space lasers. Boebert is childishly throwing her under the bus, said MSNBC podcast host Brian Taylor Cohen. Get your popcorn ready. That was indeed savage. That is not the only flack that Boebert is taking on social media. You're not the best at math. Gas prices expert mocks Lauren Boebert's attack on Biden.
Come on, man.
The expert on gas prices mocked Representative Lauren Boebert on Tuesday for launching a nonsensical attack on President Joe Biden's recent decision to restock the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. A couple of days ago, Boebert attacked Biden for buying up 3 million oil barrels to restock the reserve after he sold off an estimated 180 million barrels earlier this year in an effort to lower spiking gas prices. Trump stocked up our reserves at record low prices, she wrote on Twitter. Then Biden emptied it out to get through the midterms. Now he's going to stock it back up at a much higher price. That ain't true. While the consumer is paying much higher prices for gas, the cost of a barrel is pretty cheap right now. But Patrick DeHaan, a gas price tracker who in the past has been critical of Biden for not doing enough to boost gasoline supply, pointed out in response that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is now buying back oil barrels at a significantly lower rate than what it sold them for earlier this year. And that's how that works, by the way. When you hear that a president released some of the strategic reserve, it's a loan to oil companies. And once the price of a barrel reaches a certain threshold, the oil companies are required to replenish the strategic reserve. Average selling price was $96 at the time of the sales, including some sales close to $120, and the price today is $75. You're not the best at math. It also noted that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve saw a net decline in barrels during Trump's tenure, dropping from 695 million barrels in 2017 to 634 million by 2020. Mox bringing up the Saudis. Thank you for setting me up for the next story. Maybe I killed it. I don't see the link anymore. Damn it. Remember, the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas, Justin usually checks out. Justin is not on top of his game right now. Okay, I can't even find the story. Can't even find the story anymore. And I don't read this shit beforehand, so I don't remember. The Saudis have said they're worried about their reserves of not having enough oil, that they are running out, apparently. Turned heads at Paris Fashion Week. I had a story about the Saudis, but, you know, ain't here no more, so fuck off. Never mind. I lied to you. Also, fuck the Saudis. Fuck Prince Bonesaw. Merry Christmas, proud Union soldier. Merry Christmas to you. Or Happy Hanukkah if you're celebrating Hanukkah right now. This is the third day or fourth day. Which day of Hanukkah is it? I should have mentioned that earlier when earlier in the week Hanukkah started. Happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. And this is probably coming as a shock to people watching me on BitChute and Rumble right now. No, I'm not Jewish. I don't know why they all think I'm Jewish on the Nazi platform, but I'm not. I'm not Jewish. It would be a big deal if I was, but I'm not. But happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. Kwanzaa coming up this weekend. Need to check and see when it actually is. Happy holidays to everyone though. No matter what you celebrate or don't celebrate. Celebrate Festivus on Friday. Celebrate the solstice tonight. Or is it tomorrow night? Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's the solstice. But whatever you celebrate, or if you're just having the seasonal depression and taking some time off, happy holidays, happy today. Speaking of being anointed, I got the email. I always forget about it until I get the email. It's been 12 years since I became a minister. And I'm like, oh yeah, I am a minister, aren't I? Happy Hanukkah to everyone who celebrates. Happy Festivus to those celebrating on Friday. If you're celebrating Festivus on Friday, don't forget to tune in to the Friday Night Freak Show, where we have a very special guest co-host, Krampus. Krampus will be the special guest co-host on Friday night. I cannot wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. Krampus, special guest co-host this Friday night on the Friday Night Freak Show. I've been working on that one. Been teasing it. I said I had a big announcement. Krampus is going to be joining us. Get your questions ready if you have any questions for Krampus. I'm probably going to go back to sleep after this stream ends because I am fucking tired. Cats wake me up every half hour, every hour. Smokey over here taking a nap right now. I go wake you up, buddy. Come on. Still to get woken up, Smokes, huh? He ain't happy about it. Smokey, not so much the culprit, it was more Socks. And it really upsets me when Socks does it, because I'll get all comfortable with him. He'll lay down and we'll get cuddled up, and I'll put my hand in his floof and then wraps around my hand. But then all of a sudden he'll get a wild hair up his ass, jump up, and then start knocking on the door. God damn it, Socks. Speaking of annoying people, annoying pussies. Hell of a segue there, Justin. Speaking of annoying pussies, Jonathan Turley was on Fox News. Yesterday was the final committee hearing for the January 6th committee. I think it was yesterday. Am I right on that one, guys? Because I've really fucked up my sleep schedule. It is Tuesday, right? We covered the January 6th hearing. I had not been to bed since the stream the night before. Went to bed after the hearing. Wing Bree B. Evening. So glad to have you here. I don't think I ever told you thank you for being a freaking follower. We're so glad to have you. Let me do that segue again. Speaking of annoying pussies, Jonathan Turley was on Fox News. January 6th committee hearing, talking about how the real victims in the whole January 6th insurrection were the Republicans.
And I think that that's a shame, because there is material that has come out of this committee that's deeply disturbing. This is not the proprietary ownership of the Democratic Party. That riot on January 6th was a desecration of our constitutional process. And yet it's been weaponized to some extent by this committee, which did not pursue other issues in these public sessions. And I think that that's a shame because there is material that has come out of this committee that's deeply disturbing. This is not the proprietary ownership of the Democratic Party. That riot on January 6th was a desecration of our constitutional process. And yet it's been weaponized to some extent by this committee, which did not pursue other issues in these public sessions.
Oh, I've heard all the right. The issues they want to talk about is, why didn't Nancy Pelosi call in the National Guard? Why did she deny security beforehand? Which all of that has been debunked. Now, I'll agree that the January 6th committee hearing didn't delve deep enough into a lot of issues I would have liked to have found out about, such as the connection between people like Mike Flynn and our intelligence agencies. Mike Flynn's brother had a really high-ranking position on January 6th. We should have been looking into him. And testimony obtained by CBS News. Let's hear a piece of this audio.
In just a few hours, the January 6th committee is expected to vote on recommending...
Yeah, this was before the committee hearing yesterday. They did indeed vote on 4 criminal referrals for Trump and other associates. Eastman was part of the referrals.
Exclusively obtained new audio from a key witness interviewed by the January 6th committee. The recording gives us a window into the testimony of former President Trump's national security advisor, Michael Flynn. CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent Robert Costa has more.
Tomorrow, we
what up, Bob?
are going to be here, and we want you to know that we will not stand for a lie.
Ahead of the January 6 attack on the Capitol, retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn was a central figure in the right-wing effort to block the certification of the 2020
Yes, I would have liked to heard more about
January 6th
Congress people that were participating in it as well.
He repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and said little.
General Flynn, do you believe in the peaceful transition of power in the United States of America?
Until now,
how the fuck do you plead the Fifth to that? Do you believe in the peaceful transfer of power? I plead the Fifth. Lord Locke, good evening.
Has only released snippets of Flynn's deposition, but CBS News has obtained new audio files that reveal more, including that he was questioned about whether he pressured defense and intelligence officials.
Between November 3rd, 2020 and January 20th, 2021, did you have any conversations with any current or former officials at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence regarding
Director of National Intelligence? That's the office his brother was in.
Election fraud or other irregularities in the 2020 presidential elections?
During the deposition, Flynn was pressed on whether he contacted a then top intelligence official, Ezra Cohen.
In your phone call with Mr. Cohen, did you tell him that he needed to return to the United States from his trip abroad because, quote, something's about to happen, unquote?
The investigator kept pressing about a second call to Cohen.
And during the second phone call with Mr. Cohen, did you tell him that, quote, we need to have the military take over the election and redo the election, unquote, or something like that?
The Fifth.
A person close to Cohen told CBS News Flynn did call him twice, alarming Cohen, who allegedly told Flynn he needed to move on.
Flynn is a grifter. This motherfucker was working for several unsavory foreign governments, and now he's basically keeping the QAnon movement alive. I highly recommend the second season of the search for QAnon or the hunt for QAnon, whatever it is that Vice did. It is very much focused on Flynn and his Reawaken America tour.
People familiar with the investigation say Cohen has spoken with the January 6 committee at its request. Flynn's alleged contact with a top Pentagon official came under the spotlight, too.
We understand that around December 2020, you contacted Mr. Anthony Kata from the Department of Defense regarding the 2020 election. Is that true? That's good.
Tata, in a statement to CBS News, said in part in December 2020, I never spoke with Mike Flynn about anything. But former federal prosecutor Scott Frederickson says the committee's line of questioning tells us something about the potential scope of the investigation.
This is not the kind of stuff they just kind of pull out of a hat.
one,
Thur,
I think,
you have not seen my hat.
some other witness or witnesses are telling them that they had these kinds of conversations. That's quite a revelation. That's a stunning revelation.
Aurelio says the House has voted to release Trump's tax returns. I figured they would.
Constitutional rights under the Fifth Amendment upon the advice of counsel. That he chose not to dignify their absurd questions was necessary to combat yet another political witch hunt. A spokesman for the House Select Committee declined to comment to CBS News.
Now, when Flynn refused to answer whether he believes in a very principle that sits at the heart of American democracy, you can sort of understand why he would plead the Fifth to some of the other questions, but here, why might he have chosen to do so there?
Seriously.
He invoked his right against self-incrimination as outlined under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. And as Scott Frederickson, the former federal prosecutor, told
good evening.
CBS News, if you're going to invoke the Fifth Amendment during this kind of testimony, you have to do it repeatedly. And so that was his decision, he says, upon the advice of counsel. His lack of answers in this deposition wasn't helpful to the January 6th committee as they were trying to piece together his contacts, alleged contacts, with defense and intelligence officials. But the questions in this deposition, which CBS News has obtained audio of, are very revealing of the investigative targets sought out by the January 6th committee, which is set to release a final report this week, as it started to really build up the investigation earlier this year.
And have we heard any response to this new audio or even Flynn's decision?
People on Capitol Hill are still digesting this aspect of the investigation. It is expected that in the coming days and weeks, the January 6th committee will release certain transcripts from its investigation. It's unclear whether the Flynn deposition will be included in the transcripts that are released. But Flynn remains a central figure in how people look at January 6th, not just in Congress on the House Select Committee, but there are also ongoing grand jury investigations inside the Justice Department that are trying to piece together, based on our reporting at CBS, how different extremist groups, right-wing groups, White House officials, congressional Republicans, outside lawyers all interacted in the period after the November 2020 election and what happened between that period and the Capitol attack.
And so, Robert,
thank you for the sub.
Today's committee meeting, just how significant is
Tones
this
giving out the gift subs again. Merry Christmas, Tones.
It's legally insignificant in the sense that this does not matter in terms of prosecution, but it's politically significant, and it makes a statement about the House Select Committee's conclusion. And so in terms of the public understanding of what happened on January 6th and whether President Trump's conduct, the former president's conduct, should be scrutinized and criticized, the January 6th committee is
scrutinized. That's the least. That's the least of it.
That the Justice Department pursue criminal charges in different areas, including fraud against the United States, inciting an insurrection. Some of this is not surprising. We've already had an impeachment proceeding and a Senate trial over Trump's conduct regarding January 6th. But this is a further recommendation, all as the Justice Department continues to mull through a special counsel whether to prosecute Trump or not.
And whether he is prosecuted or not, Robert, how do you think GOP leaders are going to respond or are responding to this potential recommendation?
Among some in the GOP, there is a rallying to the barricades right now politically to help Trump, but there's also a muted response from some quarters of the Republican Party, and that's notable politically because Trump is already a federal candidate running again for the presidency, but some of his rivals at that upper ring of the Republican Party believe he could be politically hindered by what's happening legally, what's happening with this congressional report, and they're waiting and watching to see if Trump becomes vulnerable in the coming months to a possible challenge. A lot of people are still thinking through whether they want to jump in to the presidential race and challenge Trump for the nomination.
All right, Bob. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, usually you don't get announcements of candidacy until like the spring, summer of next year. Like Trump announcing in November was just wild. And I was watching some documentary the other day, and Reagan announced like the Christmas before the election year. Like, wow, how things have changed. They would already be holding primary debates. They would already, because this time next year, we will have already watched 20 Republican primary debates. Guaranteed. I don't think there's likely to be Democratic debates. I hope so. I don't think it's likely. I would say it's a lock that Biden will be running again. Unfortunately, all the polls, most people don't want Biden to run. More people don't want Biden to run than don't want Trump to run. Something like 65% of the country doesn't want Trump to run, and like 75% doesn't want Biden to run. Wild. Go to one of Trump's favorite candidates in Arizona. Kari Lake refusing to acknowledge that she lost the gubernatorial race. Attorney argues to dismiss Kari Lake's lawsuit contesting the results of the Arizona governor's race, pointing out that there isn't any evidence of a master plot and that Lake's allegations are directed mostly at Republicans.
Lake, there was a concerted, coordinated effort among signature reviewers, Runbeck employees, and Maricopa voting machine technicians to rig the election against her. This master plot was deployed on Election Day precisely because more Republicans tend to vote on Election Day. And this intentional conduct against Republican voters was driven by the Maricopa County Recorder, who is a Republican, and the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors.
I can go ahead and tell you what every single right-winger is going to say. They're rhinos. Anytime a Republican doesn't fall in line with the Trump wing of the party, they're rhinos. They're Republicans in name only.
4 out of 5 of whom are also Republican. And remarkably, this scheme took place among some scores of election officials and non-government actors without a single trace. No documents, no emails, no leaks. There's a reason that election contests do not entertain such far-fetched allegations of intentional conduct and instead require allegations of fraud with particularity as to the who, what, when, where, and how.
That was yesterday before the judge issued his decision that all but 2 of the claims were dismissed. There was 10 counts in the lawsuit. All but 2 of them were tossed by the judge.
Breaking news from court, a judge has set a short trial over Kari Lake's election lawsuit and her demand for an election redo. In a ruling from the judge out late tonight, that judge dismissed 8 of the 10 claims made by Lake, who lost the race for governor. Still, the judge told her lawyers to turn in evidence to support her claim that the printer problems at some Maricopa County polling sites were intentional and done to impact the outcome of the election. The deadline for them to turn in that evidence is tomorrow. Lake also claims hundreds of thousands of ballots were cast illegally, but the Secretary of State's office and all county election officials call her lawsuit baseless and frivolous.
So now that tomorrow was today, so they submitted those documents today. I don't believe we got a decision from the judge just yet, so we'll update. But you guys need to pray. You need to pray for Kari Lake. Pray for Kari Lake. Bad way right now because she lost the election.
Now, if they thought we would just sulk and accept the results of a rigged sham election, they were wrong. My resolve to fight for the millions of Arizonans.
There's no rigged or sham election.
With years of botched elections is stronger than ever.
Cicero, good evening.
Thank you to all of you who are praying for me and supporting me in our movement. Please pray for the brave witnesses,
Makeup definitely isn't baseless,
who saw what happened and documented it. And
Joke had a good foundation.
Courageous legal team. And pray for the judge who's overseeing this case. The world is watching what happens here. We, the people of Arizona, demand honest elections, and we won't stop until we get them. Now, if they thought we would just sulk and accept the results of a rigged sham election, they were wrong. My resolve to fight for the millions of Arizonans disgusted with years of botched elections is stronger than ever. I want to say thank you to all of you who are praying for me and supporting me in our movement. Please pray for the brave witnesses, whistleblowers, and citizens who saw what happened and documented it. And for our patriotic,
There
courageous
aren't any whistleblowers.
and pray for the judge who's overseeing this case. The world is watching what happens here. We, the people of Arizona.
Or, good evening. I don't know what you mean. Why does it look like YouTube?
Now, if they thought we would just sulk and accept the results of a rigged sham election.
Oh, we started over there. I was wondering, what do you mean by my stream looks like YouTube? We're usually on YouTube. You can't explain it. We were having internet issues earlier, but things have worked out. Hey, I bitched about the FBI, and then the FBI took me down. Lawyers for Kari Lake have dismissed, or they have withdrawn their subpoena for Katie Hobbs. Happened earlier today. Lawyers withdraw subpoena for Katie Hobbs hours after Kari Lake boasted she'd be forced to testify. Judge this week ruled that defeated Republican Arizona gubernatorial nominee Kari Lake's lawsuit aiming to overturn her loss to Katie Hobbs can go forward, although he also severely restricted the grounds on which the lawsuit can be heard. As reported by the Arizona Mirror on Tuesday, Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Peter Thompson tossed out 7 of the 9 claims made by Lake's attorneys in the original lawsuit, which means her lawyers will have to prove a very specific set of facts in order to be successful. Neither of the 2 claims allowed by the judge has to do with Arizona Governor-elect Katie Hobbs, whom Lake had accused of malfeasance in her role as Arizona's Secretary of State. The draw of the subpoena came mere hours after Lake boasted on Twitter that her Democratic opponent would face a grilling from her lawyers on the witness stand. This week, Katie Hobbs will take the witness stand. Never underestimate the power of prayer. Malfeasance, not maleficent. Never underestimate the power of prayer. They did a study and found that, there was, it fell in the range of, chance. They did a study about prayer and found that prayer was actually, how do I put this? Less helpful. The people that were prayed for had worse outcomes. I'd have to look. It's been a while since I looked at that study. Power of prayer. I don't know how to put it. Overall, 59% of patients who knew they were being prayed for had complications, compared to 51% of the patients who did not receive prayer. Largest study to date found prayer has no power to heal. This was back in 2006. Apparently, the recovery of patients who had undergone a cardiac bypass. A Catholic priest who was involved in the research said he wasn't surprised by the results. So you knew it was bullshit. North Carolina County is set to hold another election after a poll worker wrongly told voters that a candidate had died. North Carolina State Board of Elections on Monday unanimously decided to call a do-over election for a local race in Surry County after a poll worker repeatedly told at least one voter that one of the candidates running was dead, despite the person actually being alive. Which is weird because this happens almost all election cycles, but we had a dead person win in this past election cycle. It is unfortunate what had happened, and is certainly through no malice or ill will of anybody at the county, said Damon Thur, chairman of the state elections board. But I think it goes to show that when issues arise, there's procedures we have in which to remedy them, and that's where we are now. The new Dobson Town Commissioner contest is scheduled to be held on March 7th between J. Wayne Atkins, Walter White. Walter died a few years back. And John Shack placed first, second, and third, respectively. State's election board, a poll worker had wrongly told one or more voters that John Zach was dead when in fact another candidate, Sharon Gates Hodges, had died. Regardless, poll workers sharing such information is prohibited. Gates Hodges appeared on the November ballot, but received the fewest votes. Vote Walter White, bitches. Those of you who don't know why that's funny to me, Walter White is the name of the lead character in Breaking Bad. Teacher played by Bryan Cranston. Faced with overwhelming medical bills for getting cancer, resulted to making meth. Classic late 2000s TV show. Never stopped Chuck Grassley from running. You guys heard about George Santos? Just elected to congressman, or just elected to Congress. Apparently, motherfucker lied. Motherfucker lied about a lot of things.
Explosive report from the New York Times suggests Congressman-elect George Santos may have lied about major events in his life. The Long Island Republicans' win in a blue district helped give the GOP control of the House. But CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff shows us there are growing calls for him to resign even before he's sworn in.
34-year-old George Santos turned a blue district red to represent Nassau's North Shore and parts of Queens by campaigning as a seasoned financier. But this New York Times investigative story calls into question key parts of the resume he sold to voters. Employers and alma mater Santos listed have no record of him, including Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, Baruch College, and NYU. Other parts of his resume may be largely fiction. A purported nonprofit animal rescue claims he lost employees at the Pulse nightclub shooting. The Times review of public documents and court filings found criminal charges for check fraud in Brazil, eviction cases against him, and raised campaign finance questions.
This is not about resume padding. This is allegations about the fact he lied on his house ethics.
Robert, I was trying to make a Bob Dylan joke there. Apparently Bob Dylan had some weird things to say about modern music.
The fact he lied on his house ethics forms.
I was confused. It's George Zimmerman. Bob being his stage name. I was trying to make a joke. I stopped. I don't feel the best tonight, so forgive me for being off of my game.
In Brazil, eviction cases against him, and raised campaign finance questions.
This is not about resume padding. This is allegations about the fact he lied on his house ethics forms. Allegations about him lying about his personal finances, where his money came from for his campaign. And what's most troubling is George Santos' refusal to answer any questions about this at all.
During the campaign, Robert Zimmerman, his Democratic opponent, had called out inconsistencies. Santos's attorney calls the story a shock.
But what does that say about you that you lost to a prolific liar? What does it say about you and your candidacy?
On blast of attacks. It is no surprise that Congressman-elect Santos has enemies at the New York Times who are attempting to smear his good name with these defamatory allegations. The leader of the Nassau Republican Party said George Santos deserves an opportunity to address the claims detailed in the article. The Times couldn't even find evidence he lives at the address where he's registered to vote.
The totality of it.
Now that should disqualify him.
That, I don't think the Congress should seat him. Frankly, it's within their purview to decide to seat someone or not. This is not the person that voters chose to elect.
Some are calling on Santos to resign.
To lie about where he lives, where he went to college, to lie about his employees dying in a
he's running as a Republican, so
disqualified to run for office.
They don't give a shit.
Observers point out little can be done unless any alleged mischaracterization amounts to a crime.
It's extremely rare throughout the history of this country that Congress has actually expelled one of their own. Unfortunately, lying on your resume is not is not a problem for.
But if you don't live in the district,
we'll just have to wait for
that's
the
a
next
little
election
different
to be able to have their say.
Santos's attorney says he is discussing the congressman-elect's response. His former opponent says the response is already overdue. In Great Neck, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS 2 News.
Now, no evidence of the $80 million family investment firm Santos has said he manages. And for a link to the New York Times article, just go to our website, cbsnewyork.com.
Oh, well. It was a story we had to cut off last night when I wasn't feeling well, and I really wanted to hear that one. Republicans lie? Never. That never happens. I'm not getting ready to show you a Fox News story where they also lie to you. Pro-life activist arrested for praying silently near an abortion facility. Pro-life charity volunteer was arrested by police after she told them she might have been praying near a closed abortion facility. Something smells fishy here. Fox News isn't even going to let me look. You know I'm calling them out. A charity volunteer was arrested after she told police she might be praying silently when they asked why she was standing on a public street near an abortion facility, according to a report from Alliance Defending Freedom UK. Oh, wait a minute. This didn't even happen in the U.S. Isabel Von Spruce, the director of the UK March for Life, was standing near the BPAS Robert Clinic in Kings Norton, Birmingham, in an area ADF UK called a censorship zone. What the fuck is a censorship zone? Approached her after an onlooker complained that she might be praying outside the abortion facility, the report said. Birmingham's authorities established a buffer zone around abortion clinics, which makes it illegal for an individual to engage in an act or attempted act of approval or disapproval as it relates to abortion, and includes verbal or written means like praying or counseling. So, was not arrested for praying silently. Was arrested for trespassing. Huge difference. But Fox is incredibly dishonest. Guys, the far right is taking hold across the globe. It's not just the U.S. We got some of the dumbest, though. God of Buffalo, good evening. Happy Hanukkah to you. You were well tonight, my friend. Yeah, I wished you happy Hanukkah. But we're coming up on the big Christian holiday. What better way for us to celebrate the upcoming Christian holiday? By me detailing this pastor that can't find a building to host his hate speech. A brief video posted on one of his alternative YouTube channels this morning, I guess it was yesterday morning, Christian hate preacher Jonathan Shelley, whose church faced eviction earlier this year, said he would have to find a new location for Steadfast Baptist Church because nobody really wants to lease to us. Can you blame them? Hey, this was posted 2 days ago.
Hey everybody, this is Pastor Jonathan Shelley from Steadfast Baptist Church, and I wanted to give you an update about our church location. We're actually unfortunately going to have to move again for next year, and so obviously we've been protested,
It's Gergen.
Every single week.
Good evening, my friend. Thank you for being a freaking follower.
Years at this point. And it doesn't seem like it's going to...
Well, you know my opinion on churches. Churches are nothing but organized pedophile rings. So, I find out you're a preacher at a church, I automatically think you should probably be investigated.
And so, obviously, we've been protested, like every single week for really years at this point, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. Well,
have you tried not being a piece of shit?
Nobody really wants.
Here's the thing, buddy. Here's the thing. If Christians actually acted like Christ and followed Christ's commandments, nobody would have an issue with you. If you were to love everyone and treat them as you would want to be treated, turn the other cheek, advocate for the poor and downtrodden, give everything you own to the poor. These are things Jesus actually said. If you were to do these things, nobody would have an issue with you. Not a single soul. If you were to actually follow the teachings of Christ, nobody would have a problem with you. The problem is that these people back here protesting are protesting because you twist the Bible in order to fit your agenda and mask your bigotry as religious freedom.
So it makes it very difficult. I am still working on a few options.
I hope they make your life difficult.
A lot of legal fees and all kinds of different issues. If you really want to be a part of our church, it's never been a better time. Our church is growing. We have a lot of people that love the Lord, and everything's looking really up. Hey everybody, this is Pastor Jonathan Shelley.
Everything's looking really up as we're trying to find a new venue that will actually let us rent from them. Now, I would show your asshole some love, Lord Locke. I would totally show your asshole some love.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Everyone's asshole needs a little love. I scare myself sometimes, Locke. Apparently, Barack Obama's asshole wasn't getting enough love. What the fuck is up with my browsers here? Why does Google Chrome keep freezing on me? What the fuck? Apparently, former President Barack Obama's asshole was not getting enough love from Michelle. Back in 2000, he apparently considered divorcing her. Barack Obama and wife Michelle almost divorced in the year 2000. The year 2000. Barack Obama is one of the most polarizing people in American history. Is he? Is he really? He's one of the most popular politicians. Politically, Obama inspired people who loved him or people who hated him. Now, yes, there was no in between. People either loved or hated him, it seemed. There was no in between as to, but on my line there, as to why it was like this. People have their own speculations. Whatever the case, Obama became a part of the culture. It is so much so that people even admire his marriage with Michelle Obama. However, some experts from Obama's 2020 book have gone viral where he admits he considered divorcing Michelle. Barack Obama definitely made history, and Michelle Obama receives a lot of credit for being the woman behind the man. As a result, there are people who have hoped to have a Barack and Michelle kind of love. After all, there was a movie made that was based solely on their first date. However, there was a time in the year 2000 when it looked like none of this would happen. Instead, it looked like the two were going to break up. Barack Obama detailed all of this in his 2020 book, A Promised Land. Google, Twitter, people are just reacting to it now. The people who are commenting on this are making fun of the people who said they wanted a Barack and Michelle type of relationship. Those people were pointing out how Barack almost divorced Michelle. In addition, they pointed out how selfish the former president sounded when explaining his reasons in the book. I'd like to know what his reasons were. We're gonna get catty here. It's Gherkin. Yeah, sure. Rob Knower. There you go. Rob Knower. But be prepared for the the absolute deluge of dumb fuckery that you will get from that absolute moron. Have fun, though. Have fun. Happy to provide you with a recommendation. Someone whose asshole seemed to get a little love and care after dinner the other night seemed to be former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, Kellyanne Conway, who was apparently not showing George Conway's asshole any love, went out for Italian. Wait a minute, wasn't it Cuomo said he couldn't be racist because he was Italian or some shit? Perhaps Rob is talking about the Twitter files and isn't still talking about the FBI and Hillary Clinton. Seriously, every time I drop into a stream, he's talking about Hillary Clinton. Fucking-cessed. So maybe the Twitter files allowed him to move on. I kind of doubt it. Cuomo and Kellyanne Conway seemed like mortal enemies back in the day, which is why this story is so curious. The New York Post caught the former governor and former Trump honcho hitting up Il Postino Monday night in New York City's Upper East Side, with the ex-gov trailing KC as they left the Italian restaurant around 10 p.m. Well, he looks happy. Cuomo and Conway were mum over the purpose of their dinner, but it's sure interesting. Cuomo was effectively booted from office last year, and Kellyanne's former boss has certainly had his own issues, so there's some common ground. Okay, just a theory, but Cuomo has repeatedly been making sounds about running again, and Kellyanne seems to be keeping her distance from Trump. So yeah, I speculated that this could be a romantic entanglement, but it could be a business proposition. Could be both. Who knows? Before we wrap up tonight, we're going to talk about your holiday travel. I do want to point out, I'm going to give you the heads up on the programming for the rest of the week. On Friday night, we have a very special guest co-host. One of the most famous guest co-hosts we've ever had on the Friday Night Freak Show. Krampus will be joining us for the Christmas Eve edition of the Friday Night Freak Show. Saturday night, we're going to have a special Troll Patrol. NORAD tracking Santa. Show you clips of Joe Biden taking calls from children and shit. I tune in to find out about Krampus. I don't think Krampus has made an appearance on a YouTube channel before. I can't verify this. I did not actually get to speak to Krampus either. I will be talking to Krampus for the first time on the stream. I talked to Krampus's people. Confirmed earlier today. Krampus, the Friday Night Freak Show on Christmas Eve. There's a possibility that I will not be joining you on Thursday. I do kind of have tentative plans to go out to dinner with a friend. However, there's the possibility that the snow is going to hit us. Who knows exactly what's going to happen. Lady B, good evening. Good evening. So glad to see you. Some people are trying to get their holiday travel out of the way before this storm moves through the country.
Now this is the kind of airport you want to see. Not too hectic, not too frantic, not too shabby.
Well, going down to visit my daughter, the grandkids, and sit around the Christmas tree and have a nice time.
For Gregory Jenkins and many others, having a nice time means beating the rush.
Remember Gregory Jenkins?
I don't really mind it. I just hate planes, so that's why I'm here.
This is Tuesday at noon at South Station, and there were already a lot of travelers heading out a few days before the storm heads in. including these two musicians from Berkeley.
The last plane ticket I got was like $900 for Thanksgiving, so
Phoebe, good evening.
It's a little longer, but it's not too bad, you know.
Back to those who are flying this week. To make it easier, TSA recommends avoiding what it calls airport.
I have a friend though, and she's up in Canada. Apparently she was flying to Costa Rica, and it don't look like her trip to Costa Rica gonna be happening.
Rush hour in the morning and the evening, and to save on the stress by arriving early. Also use gift bags instead of wrapping paper in case items need to be opened up. And this is something I'm going to do in the future. Put that wallet and cell phone in your carry-on instead of in a bin and on the belt. And so airlines around the country know that travelers are eager to push those flights up, and they've offered travel waivers, most of them, but obviously check with your airline before you arrive here at the airport.
Those is actually some good travel tips. Any of you are doing some traveling for this holiday? Heard them mention the storm. My God. We're looking at life-threatening cold weather overtaking much of the U.S. on this Christmas week.
All in all, what that means is just that we are going to be dealing with very cold temperatures right in time.
When did they give Tiffany Trump a job doing the weather?
For kind of the start of astronomical winter, if you will. Lots of wind chill alerts, as you can see in place. Wind chill warnings, they are going into effect for much of the state of Montana, the Dakotas, even into Kansas. So my home state, Kansas. And then we see those wind chill watches taking over. And so that number right there has also been increasing steadily throughout the afternoon. Now 57 million folks are currently under some form of wind chill alert. And this is because these temperatures, these are not normal at all. And I think that's what's going to catch a lot of folks off guard, especially if they haven't been staying up to date with the forecast. So if you're watching us at home, give your friends and family a call, let them know what's on the way, because these temperatures are going to be dangerous, if not life-threatening. We are talking about widespread sub-zero temperatures for much of the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, over the next several days. And so that is going to do a number on what we call the 4 Ps. So people should not be out in these kinds of frigid temperatures. Neither should pets. Also, your pipes certainly need to be well insulated heading into the days.
Be sure to clean your pipes.
And also plants. Bring those indoors if you haven't done so already. And I'm talking about it because this cold air is going to seep as far south as the Gulf Coast. So a lot of these locations where potentially
Machine, good evening.
Kind of the I-10 corridor, even elsewhere back off to the west, haven't been feeling that cold so far this season. But this is going to be a shock.
Can't mention penis without showing some love to the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Oh. Guess that's the opposite of showing some love to the balls.
To so many as we really head into the last few days leading up to Christmas.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos.
Amy Freeze? Amy Freeze. That's your name. You are a weather person for Fox Weather, and your name is Amy Freeze. Amy Freeze, thank you for that update on the weather. Let's talk about the earthquake that hit California.
Responders have been seeing on the ground in Northern California. Let's bring in Tron B.A., Fire Captain Specialist and Public Information Officer for CAL FIRE Humboldt Del Norte Unit. Thank you for being with us. Just terrifying to see the imagery as well. How are things at this hour?
Things have quieted down rather significantly, fortunately. Assessments continue.
Oh, come on, Simp. Don't correct me like that. Her name is F-R-E-E-Z-E.
Calmed down.
All right, so listen, you've been out assessing the structural damage in the area today.
Breaking
what
my
have
balls.
you seen out
Breaking my
there,
balls.
and how severe is the damage? I mean, for those of us that aren't on the West Coast and don't experience this maybe as much, fortunately, is a 6.4 magnitude something that makes houses crumble? Obviously, we see there's a lot of infrastructure damage to the roads.
Major.
Sure. Yeah, 6.4 isn't terribly common. Like you mentioned earlier, we did have a 6.2 just last year. But for whatever reasons, this one was significantly more violent. And in my travels today, came across quite a few structures, houses that were knocked off their foundations in the community of Rio Del to the south of us.
Oh Lord, you say?
And some a school gymnasium there that was also damaged and red tagged.
Now, Tron, the earthquake woke you up this morning, and you say you weren't surprised, but that this quake was noticeably stronger than anything you felt in the last few years. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. This is a pretty seismically active area of California, and earthquakes are common, but this one was rather violent and jolting first, right out the gate. Sometimes you can hear them coming, feel a little bit of rolling underneath you, and you can kind of prep yourself for it. This one immediately just shook violently, and got out of bed real quick and made sure the family was taking cover.
So what was it, getting back to how you woke up, what was it that actually did wake you up? Was it the shaking and rattling, or did you?
Well, yeah, what a stupid question.
Was it a combination of the two? I'm just trying to put myself in that position.
It was an immediate jolt, a violent shake.
Okay.
That occurred, and then the sound and the rumble, and then pots in the kitchen clanking together, and things rattling around the house all at once.
Now, aside from the 2 deaths that we know about, can you give us any updates about the number of injuries that were reported?
I guess you can tell that the anchors don't live in California.
So the information I have from the Cal Fire Humboldt Del Norte Dispatch Center, we dispatched for most of the county with the exception of the city of Eureka and the city of Fortuna. We took a total of 130 calls today, which is about 80 to 100 calls more than the daily average. Of those, there were 72 of those calls happened in the first 2 hours following the earthquake. And there was 12 of those calls were medical calls, 2 of those being entrapments of people stuck in their structure, in their living, in their homes.
Well, sir,
I don't know if you guys noticed the Chiron. He is the California firefighter special.
So what was
a violent shake?
Okay.
That occurred, and
back too
stuck
far.
in their structure.
Closed captioning is California firefighter captain specialist. California firefighter captain specialist. So nice, you got to say it twice. So I'm gonna let you guys in on a little something. I'm amazed I made it through this. I feel absolutely horrible. I feel like shit. Just as soon as I turn the stream off, I am laying the fuck down. So I am proud of myself for being able to trooper through this one. Oof. I did not have to cut it short like I did last night. But man, it's been a slog. So forgive me for my shitty performance, subpar performance. But you know I'm not going to leave you without showing you an animal video. Here's a cat trying to block a field goal. Thank you guys. Hopefully just some rest and shit. The cats, my cats, kept me up. I did not get to sleep at all. Cats doing shit like this, keeping you up. Let's find out who's on Twitch right now. Kitty trying to block a field goal. If you're watching on Twitch, you're going to head over to Squid. Tell him the Freak Daddy sent you. Hopefully we'll be back in better health tomorrow. So if you're watching on Twitch, you're heading over to Squid. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I am JustinFREAKIN. We will see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol Live.